Okay, welcome to our second live episode. I wouldn't say I'm kind of getting into the into my straps on this one, but we'll take it each week as we go and see how we get on. It's really weird actually going from recording and editing 10-minute videos, 15-minute videos to actually a major switch over when we're going to live format. I've got to ignore all the ticks and the things that I say that really annoy me when I listen back to it as well. But we've got another hour or so in this episode just to cover what I want to cover today, which is the adding custom code into Squarespace and website builders in general. So we're going to go through a few tools showing how we can extract information from a website builder. I've created a brand new template. We're going to play around with some custom styling of, say, some buttons or some text or even some blocks as well. I'm going to show you some Chrome extensions that I think are really valuable for it. The great news is these are free. And if you're looking to take things to the next level, I've got a third-party plugin that I've not used before from Square Websites, which is a shop filter or a product filter tool that allows us more advanced options when we're filtering down by category or tag for any items. So this could be blog posts, it could be shop items, I think anyway. But we'll cover that on later on in the session as well. But before we jump in and I share my screen and we go through some of the options as well, I just wanted to give you a quick update. If you've been following our transition into SKOOL, that's SKOOL with a K, and we've built two communities, one all around website builders, which up until this point has been free. And we're also creating a private premium community for those looking to take their websites to the next level. So whether they are looking to monetize or do more with one or two websites, or whether they're looking for a career building websites for others. My background is I've been working professionally websites for 20 years. I've been building websites as a hobby before that, back when I was a teenager, many, many years ago. And the great news is web design has, I wouldn't say hit a plateau, but it's smoothed out over time. It used to be a bit like the Wild West, where everyone was building websites and the quality was dreadful throughout. We either had designers who were building websites ignoring the code aspect, or we'd have developers ignoring the design aspects, and then we'd end up with something that was good on one part and not so good on others. And so this is where we can hopefully improve that approach a little bit as well and create something that both looks and works great. And that's where website builders have come in. Squarespace, my favorite, to get the most from it. I've also have a partnership with hosting a website builder as well, where you can build really quick, really low cost websites. In fact, you can pay something like $80 a year and host 100 websites on one server. So that means that you can put that upfront outlay, and then you can wrap in your client hosting and potentially support costs into your build. But the reason I've gone with two communities is because there's two types of problems that we often solve. There's those who just need to dip in and out and solve a problem there and then. For example, I can't do X on Squarespace. How do I do it? And also, if you've got any other tips or advice to give me that will help my website look more professional, that's great. So we're looking at working with lots of people, hopefully thousands over the next couple of years, to be able to help them a little bit and to fill in the gap where Squarespace has mixed reputation with its support. It's live chat or email only. There's no option to pick up the phone or jump on a video call with someone from Squarespace for support, which has left a considerable gap in the market, hopefully for us, where we can actually facilitate that aspect. By joining our website builders community, you can jump in and have a chat with us and see how we can help you to get your website singing. And the aim of that is to both cover the basics for those who are really new to it, but also cover the knowledge gaps for those who may have built 5 websites on Squarespace, but they need a little bit more technical support, a little bit more design help, depending on what their personal weaknesses are. So very much suitable for freelancers, marketers, and also those new to the industry as well. Then on the other side of things, we've got our private community, which we are going to be more picky about who we allow into that. And that's going to be kind of barred by the price point. We are really looking to help and support people who have an interest in turning their enjoyment of working with Squarespace, having built a few sites, into a fully fledged career. So whether that's in combination with other marketing skills that you can offer your clients, whether it's just solely building websites day in, day out, I've done that for many, many years, or alternatively, grow an agency using Squarespace as your partner platform and also using Hostinger as well, and understanding the differences between the two offerings. It really depends on who your audience you're building. But again, we can help with that, even aspects like pricing for your websites. I've built over 3,000 websites, probably nearer 4,000, and pricing doesn't scare me like it used to. I'm much more confident now pitching a price out of the air. But underlying all of that, we've got tools and resources that can help you, checklists, pricing matrix, and we are in the process of building a system that will take you through one step at a time how to build your first website through our website builders community, a new course coming end of this month. And then on our Pixel Haze community, our premium private community, we will be taking it one step further. How you build your consultancy, your freelance agency, or your large agency using my processes that I've built over 20 years. If you want to find out more information about that, just drop me a message. There's information you can contact me directly. You can join Skool for free and find out more about it there and send me a message through that. Or alternatively, you can join our website builders community. It will be free for a few hours, and then it's going to be moving to what I believe is going to be $15 a month for the website builders community. So that means that we can add values, add live calls into the mix, and actually get some money back for it to pay us to do that. And the premium community is currently at $59, but it will be going up to $97 per month from in the next few days. So jump in, have a look. If you're interested in brushing up your skill set with website builders, or alternatively looking to spearhead a career in web design, I should be able to help you, and we could potentially even jump on a call and discuss how Pixel Haze, get that right, Pixel Haze can help you in that process as well. But let's move on to the topic at hand after a bit of housekeeping, and I'm going to share screen now. Hopefully it'll work, and we will have a look at the Squarespace site that I've set up, and we're going to have a look at some custom code options. So if I share my desktop, hopefully that's working as intended, and you can see it. So I've got a few tabs open here. I don't need the YouTube one open. So we've got our Squarespace site. This is just a standard Squarespace template. I haven't spent any time working with the content or fine-tuning it. This is the one I've chose because it's got a product catalog, albeit they're demo products. So hopefully the plugin that we're going to be trying will work with this, but it's a case of just playing around with it as well. If we switch over to the second tab, we've got the Squarespace filter plugin available on Square Websites plugins. I've got an affiliate with them, so if you can use our affiliate link if you're interested in purchasing any of these plugins, of course, that will really help me as well. And finally, we're going to go on to the step-by-step tutorial. I promise you I have not been through this before, so this will be very much a first look. And to give you a heads up, I will be creating a series of tutorials dedicated to Square websites that we're going to be both using on our Website Builders YouTube channel, on Pixel Haze Academy, and Square Websites will be using them as their support documentation as well. And we're really excited to be partnering up with these guys to be able to give you more options when you're building your websites, especially for those who are looking to build more elaborate, larger, customized websites. And you may be thinking about custom code and thinking it's really scary. It really scales depending on what you need from it. So we're going to start off with a really small approach. And likewise, if you can hear, hopefully the noise cancelling is knocking it out, but there's a particular sheep right behind me that's been really noisy this morning. So I don't know what that's all about, but it's annoying me. But that's the perils of living and working on the farm. I'm in the cabin today. So hopefully you don't have to hear it, but if I just go blank or I have a murderous expression on my face, then you'll know it's because that sheep won't shut up. Anyway, back to the website. So what we're going to do first is we're going to have a look at some simple custom code option. And this is a free, sorry, I'm just going to move this bar out of the way. This is a free Chrome extension that I use, if you can see up here. And if you search for Squarespace block identifier in Google extensions or the Google Web Store, let's move this bar over again. I'm going to be constantly moving that. So if you just do chromewebstore.google.com, or you just search for Chrome Web Store or Chrome extensions, head over to extensions, and from here then now we've actually built one for here we are, for Squarespace ID Finder. This is one that we recommend using. We're actually in the process of building our own one, which will have more of a Swiss Army knife, which will have this tool built in, but also other features as well. We've actually built a block identifier for Hostinger. So if you're using Hostinger website builder, I believe we're the first developers to actually create that plugin as well. There's information about that on Pixel Haze Academy, or give me a shout if you want more information. Alternatively, I think if you have a search for Hostinger ID Finder, yep, you'll find it here. So we've only got one review at the moment, so we'd recommend jump in, have a play with it, and obviously leave us a review if you can. More stars, the better, please. And yeah, so that's how you can install that extension, and there is a really important reason why that's helpful. I'll show you in just a moment. So we've got section IDs or sections in a page, then we've got blocks. So say, for example, we wanted to put in a custom line underneath this title here. So what we're looking for is the section, or the individual block. So if you wanted all blocks within a section to have the same feature, we would choose a section ID, and we'd need that. Or if you just wanted to identify a block and update that, which is what I'm going to do now, that's what we go for. So I'm clicking block identification, the block ID. It automatically copies it to the clipboard. I can now press the / and search for CSS. And that's just a quick way of getting to the custom CSS option. And this column here, this section here, is where we can paste in our block. So that does a lot of the hard work for us. We toggle that off and they disappear again. And now we can put curly brackets. So I can't teach you in a 1 hour session how to write CSS, but there's loads of ways, places where you can get support for that. And also, since Fluid Engine and some of the latest updates, we don't actually need to use custom code anywhere near as much as we used to, because things like positioning, things like adjustments, we can do already. But say, for example, we wanted to put a vertical line in, and this is one area where I still need to use a lot of custom code because there is no vertical line option built into Squarespace. So we can do border, right, say 2 pixels, and we can put the color in. So that's just a shorthand way of putting it in. Again, if you are a complete novice to this, this might be completely alien to you. That's absolutely fine. I'll show you a little shortcut to show how we can use ChatGPT to write this code for you, and then you can just copy and paste from ChatGPT and see if that works as well. So if we save that, we can see that there's nothing coming up at the moment. I'll put solid, just so we know it's a solid line. Oh, there it is. So we can see the text block is at full width. Actually, did I need to put the solid in? Yeah, so I needed to put solid in, or we can put dotted. Or dashed. I think are 3 of the main options we've got. So that's, I didn't realize that was mandatory, but it is. So we needed to put that in place. So let's save that at the moment, and let's go in and edit our page and show you what we can do with just that line and how it gives it more of a custom look and feel. So we can see it's disappeared at the moment, so maybe I didn't press save. And the line will go to the edge of this container. So if I wanted this to be a little bit closer to the text, or another option is I might want to align the text to the right. And then I could put a background on that block. Now the line won't appear, mainly because the background is white. But here, we need to select a color, but I can just put the transparency down to 0. What we will have to do, though, is just select the text and turn that back to white, just so we can see it again. But that's created some padding to the right of that line. Now, if we want that line to be equidistant either side, so the button comes down here, but the line needs to be pretty much in the middle, what we can do now is go to Edit Section. It would help if I actually could see the line, but let's go to, say, 30 pixels gaps. So now we can see the line's going to go there, and we can apply 30 pixels padding in that container, meaning that it's going to be 60 pixels or just over between this text, the right-hand side of this text here, and the left-hand line of this button, and then the line will appear halfway there. It might be a pixel out, or a pixel or two out, but that's absolutely fine. We're not going to notice that. So I'm just going to go back into this section here, click on it once, not twice, and then we can see the style background option again. And instead of the padding being medium, we're going to click on these dots, and it's percentages. So that's the first thing we have to do. So we're going to have to do this by eye. There we go. So that's got that pretty much in the middle now. We go back and press save, exit that. Now we're going to jump back onto this, and we're going to add an important tag just to make it important. I've got a feeling that since we changed the block, I think it's changed the block ID, because it's one with the background. So let's have a look. Yes, we can see now that this block has changed. That's because we applied a background on this. So what I would recommend doing is actually changing the background first before setting it up, then add in the custom code at the end. But if you find that it's not working for that, that's probably why. If we can get away without the important tag just prioritizes that style. So sometimes with Squarespace, there's so much CSS in here that we don't see, so much custom code built behind the system that sometimes we need to prioritize some of the code we build. But it's not the best practice to be using that all the time. Let's go back, remove that block identifier. And now we've created a custom line to the right. And it may not look like much, but it's surprising when you actually create your first piece of code. I remember mine many years ago. You get that kind of dopamine hit, and I did a thing. So that's often a really good thing, just to start with something simple like adding a line to the right. But then once you've created that effect, we can then relay that on other pages. And you can't do this on any other. You can't do this using Squarespace, the default platform. I'm amazed they haven't brought in vertical lines in there. Or if they have recently and I've missed it, let me know. Also, I'm going to look at this block here so we can see that the text is aligned to the top with the same padding around, but that's why the line is slightly longer below. Yeah, I don't know why the line disappeared. So we can see that this text is nearer the top of the block than the bottom. So this is a quick fix. We select that container once more, and let's go and move it back to the middle. And hopefully that line will reappear. There we go. And the borders on this button seem to be 1 pixel, so we probably will want to just marry them up. back into custom CSS, and this is just changing it from a 2-pixel border to a 1-pixel border. Okay. Now, let's try using ChatGPT to do the same thing. Okay. So let's start with our prompt. I need a 1-pixel border, white, solid. To the right of an element. I'm just going to put that in and see what it does. There we go. So it's done 6 Fs instead of my 3. When you've got colors with the letters are the same, so this is a hexadecimal color value, so it's the hash and then 6 digits or 6 characters that will, alphanumerical figures, we'll get it right, that will identify what shade of color it is. So almost infinite possibilities because it's 6, not 3. But if it's black is 000, whilst white is FFF, and you just kind of get to remember those over time. And so if you're using white or black, I tend to just put 3 Fs or 3 zeros for black, and it does the same job because it knows that those are the same alphanumerical values going throughout. So we don't need the element class because we've already got the ID. Sometimes you'll see a full stop in front of it. Sometimes you'll see a hash in front of it. And if it's a hash in front of it, I think you call it something different in the US if you're from there. But if you've got this character in front, that's a block ID. And if you've got the dot in front of it, or the full stop, it's a class. The difference between the two is an ID we would use once per page, so it's a unique identifier, whilst a class is a class that can be applied to many elements. So if we were repeating elements throughout the site, this is more when you're writing code from scratch as opposed to editing what's already in Squarespace. So if you've got no interest in that, you can just shut off on that bit. But it's good practice to use IDs once per page and then classes numerous times. So if new to this, just use this block identifier and follow what this provides you with. But let's paste that custom code in and see if it still works. So border right, 1-pixel, solid, FFF. So instead of having to go and look around for it, we can just go into ChatGPT and get it to write our code for us. Copy what we want from ChatGPT and paste it in. This will work really well for simple ones. Of course, the more complex your code becomes, the more you're going to need to play around with it. Of course. So say we wanted that button centrally aligned. At the moment, if we extend it over 2 blocks, we can see that it enlarges the button. So let's go into the pencil icon and go to design. And instead of fill the containers, we're going to go to fit. And we're going to align it to the left. So we've got the same equal spacing either side as well. That should work better now. Let's give it a go. There we go. So now both the button and the text are aligned to the center of this vertical line here. So we can see that almost invisible crosshair there where they fit perfectly. If you just wanted to create a normal line yourself and you didn't want any styling, we can go to add block and add a line option. I'm just going to double check that it hasn't changed anything, but the options we got to pin it. So this is when we scroll down or when we have more intricate layouts, it pins that in place. I haven't done much with the pin tool. I need to just go and have a play with it and see what advanced effects we can get with that tool. But we can see that we can duplicate it, we can align it top or bottom, but there's no styling options for lines, and there's very little we can do. The line color will change depending on the background and the styles we've got in the site, but ultimately very little we can do. But one tip that's often I'd recommend, I'll do it with another layout actually. I won't do it on this one to spoil it. So I'm just going to get rid of that. And I'll show you a little tip for how we can make those lines look really nice when we've got a section with quite a bit of content. So let's jump over to mobile and see how that works as well. Now, this is a choice that we've got. We can either say, okay, we're going to go for the same effect on mobile, but we can see by dividing up that header section, it no longer looks really slick. The text is too much text for the title. It all looks a bit crammed. And we can see now the line, because it was percentages, is closer to the text than it is the button. So if we don't like that effect and we want to change it up, we can go into custom CSS. This is where we can go back to ChatGPT. So remember this, make a note of it if you want, but to target individual devices, like mobile devices, we go for media queries. And if we again ask ChatGPT, it will tell us what we need to put in. So it's saying if it's a screen and there's a max width of and up to a maximum width of 767 pixels, which I assume is a larger iPhone, so an iPhone Max, that will work. So what we can do now is, actually, I need to do it the other way around. I got that wrong. So we've got the title here. We're going to reuse this elsewhere. And I'm actually nesting that block within the media query. But I got it the wrong way around. We want to be targeting and adding that line for desktop only, not for mobile. So instead of max width, I can either go back to ChatGPT and get it to put it to for anything larger than a mobile, or just put min width, and then that will switch it around. And if you wanted to get it bang on, we could do 768 instead of 767. Hope that makes sense. Which brings me on to the next point then in terms of commenting code. So we've got a poster up in our studio which says, cast out the devil that doesn't comment code. And what this basically means is that, especially when you're working in a team, you want to be commenting your code. So if someone else had to look at this, they would know what your intentions were when writing that code. So this could be vertical line effect. So I know then that is the vertical line effect that we can add to multiple blocks. And because we've only identified one block at the moment, we could add a comma and then add another block and add another block without having to rewrite this code every single block that we want to use it. So that's one way of getting that to work. So let's go back to desktop. And okay, it seems to have gone. So something not quite happening there. So let's have another look. Could be because I was messing around with it. So basically media only screen and minimum width of 768 pixels. We've got our first curly bracket, which basically opens up the mobile queries, because what we can do is put multiple styles for desktop only, meaning that we exclude them from mobile. Other website builders, like Hottinger Website Builder, actually allow you to hide whole elements and features from desktop or mobile, which is a really good feature. But here, this should work. So I'm not sure what's quite happening here. Maybe because I was fiddling around with it, the ID changed again. No, that hasn't changed. Did I delete too much off the end of it, maybe? There we go. Yeah, I think I took a couple of characters off the end of that without realizing, so that's why it didn't work. But let's That's the beauty of working live with me. You're going to see all of the problems that I edit out on my shorter videos. So if we go to edit, of course, we won't see it on desktop. We'll exit the edit mode. So now we can't see the lines there, but if we go and edit, we can do something different with these stylings now. So you may not like these styles, but getting that shop now button on one line, I think, so the text is on one line, I think is a priority. There we go. So that allows us to get rid of the vertical line on mobile view. So as we jump, we go into preview mode. That's how that looks on mobile. We jump to desktop. We can see the line to the right. Now, if I've not lost you so far, well done. I think we'll try a couple of other styles now as well. And I wanted to show you just an effect that we can do without custom code using lines. And I think we're going to take this section here, where we've got the signposting with two options here. And what we're going to do is add a text block below each of these. So we're going to move these buttons right the way down. I can select both of them, drag them down the same. I'm going to duplicate this block here, drop it below, and the same on this one. I'm going to put some placeholder text, just some basic Latin placeholder text in there. And same for this one here, checking its line to the center. We're going to work on some of the gaps between the blocks, because at the moment they're looking a bit too cramped, too much information to have that close together. And so I'm just going to also, having identical text on the left and the right never works. So we're going to have this one just being half a sentence longer, because that's more a realistic way of having that content laid out. Reducing these blocks so that they're both the same height. And now on this one, I'm actually going to get rid of the text below it, bring the block up, and the same for this one. It'll become apparent in a minute. So say we've got a bit more text here now. What I might do is bring it in one block either side to get a bit more breathing space around that subheading. Move it up, move that up, move the two buttons up so they sit the same height, but enough white space between those elements. But we can see there's a big space here, and naturally that would be too big a space really to do anything with that. But what I'm going to do, if we didn't do anything with it, should I say, so what I'm going to do is add a line. And when we're starting out, we're more in line with thinking we need to make that line full width there, which can work. It aligns with the image and its personal taste, whether you like that or not. But I like the option of adding in a really short line. So let's put this into the center. Now the thing we've got to choose is either 2 blocks or 4 blocks, because 3 will always be lopsided or off center, one direction or the other. So here, I'm going to go with a 2 block width line, and just having that little short accent line in between them can work quite nicely. And then the same for this one here. Okay. I'm going to align that to the top to give a bit more breathing space between that and the text below. It's not going to be perfect, but we'll go with that. Yeah, and I'm quite happy with that as the layout. Nice white space surrounding it. Bit more padding around the title, which is absolutely fine. But we could move that to the middle and see if that looks better. So again, we're going to align it center from the top. Yeah, I think I'm quite happy with that. Maybe these buttons are just one block too close to the text. Didn't mean to do that. Yeah, we'll go with that. So that's just something where we can take a template and adapt it to our own. Let's move that to mobile. And we've got some editing to do here, because it doesn't quite know what we want to do with it. So again, 2 blocks width, move it to the center. You can see the golden line, so we know it's aligned to the center. If you missed that, I'll show you in just a second. See if we can move that up one. That's probably going to be too tight to the top. Yeah. So we'll move it back to where it was. And now it's a case of moving this up and doing the same thing. There'll always be an element of doing it by eye. Two block width, move it to the center, and once more move this up below, move the button up, and move the bottom of the container. Okay, so we've got that working desktop and mobile, but say we did have a 2-pixel line effect going through the entire site. So we know it's easy enough to change this one to 2 pixels, but what if we wanted to change the line style below? And I can't remember how to do it with the lines in Squarespace, so we're going to have to do a little bit of editing. But let's go back to custom CSS first, and let's change this to 2 pixels to get that sorted first. You can see that's a little bit chunkier now. Or let's say we go for actually 1 pixel dotted. We have to go for 2 pixels because the 1 pixel, there was no gaps between them. So there we go. We're going to go with 2 pixel, or try 3, see how that looks. Yeah, we're going to go with 3 pixel dotted. That's going to be our effect carrying through, not 33. Okay. And now we wanted to mirror that effect for these lines here. This is where I'll use another tool. And if I right click, this is available in Chrome. So if you're using, this is why I recommend to students to use Chrome or even Firefox over Safari. Because within Chrome, we've got a property inspector. And the property inspector will allow us to, why is that not gone on the left? The console will allow us to identify individual elements of code. Usually I have this at the bottom. I can't remember how to shift it. So instead of me spending 5 minutes looking for that now, we're just going to go with it. So I'm going to click on this arrow with in the square top left-hand corner, or you can use on a Mac, Command, Shift, and C. And now we're going to identify the individual div for the lines. I could go to the block identifier. And now we're going to expand in here and see if we can find that HR. That's the one we're after, which is the horizontal rule. This changes the height. So what I'm going to do now is be lazy, and I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it into ChatGPT. I'm not going to press submit yet. I'm holding Shift and Enter just to create a bit of space, and we're going to go back here. So this is designed that if you aren't used to coding yourself and you can't decipher what this all means, we're going to use ChatGPT to do it for us. I'm going to create a bit of space by holding Shift and pressing Enter. If I press Enter, it will submit it. And I'm going to put, I need to change this single 1 pixel line to a 3 pixel dotted line. Please give me the alternative code. Not tried this for this particular style, but because I've extracted the existing styles, I'm giving ChatGPT a better starting point. So it has less guesswork to find what's already there. So we can see here now that it's basically attributed it to the Squarespace block horizontal rule. And it's applied it to here, border style dotted, and it's applied it here. So it means now all HRs, horizontal rules in the site, are going to be dotted instead of dashed, with a 3 pixel border width. So what we're doing is we're making the line invisible and then applying a border to create the new line above or below it. I think that makes sense. So if we go to custom CSS, and we can create a bit of space, because I'm going to just going to add in a title in. Actually, I'll do that now. Okay, so just again, make a note of these. These allow you to comment CSS, meaning that it will ignore this from a code perspective, which is what we want, and it goes into that faded gray effect, which means that it's just good for developers to look at this in the future to see that code. So we can see the height here is set to 0. Apply that to void extra space. And we can see now that it's not applied a color to it. That's the only thing that we've got here. So what we might find is we might have to change the default color for the dotted line to black and then apply a white equivalent of it on darker backgrounds. And we can apply that into each div, each block identifier in the dark background. So I'll show you that in just a moment. So let's have a look at, oh, we can see the color here, BBB, that's why. So that's a light, like silvery gray color. So if I put it as 000, we can see that's now black. So we can see the dotted vertical version and the dotted horizontal version of those same lines. So any line that we now add into Squarespace on this site will have that effect. Let's try and take the color out and see if it still works, because that's what we want. We don't want the background color because it's the border is what's applying that effect and looking like that. So we can see now that because I've removed the color, it's gone back to that default option. But I'm just seeing that that color is not anywhere else here. No. Okay. So what we can do now is add a dotted line into this section. So we wanted to just put a dotted line at the bottom, just to finish off this section. And we go to our line tool, and we can see it's put a dotted black line in once more. Or I think it's just off. It might be semi-transparent. So this is where we want to change that to a white dotted line. So this is where we can once again go to the block identifier, identify that block, create space, and then we can put in this element here, but we haven't identified that individual block. This is where we can copy this code here and then paste it at the end of this section and then change it to FFF, which we remember is all white. And now, I couldn't remember, I think you don't actually need a space or anything after the block ID. So we've got the ID, which is the individual identifier for that section, if you remember I said earlier. And then we've got the class, which is the style that's applied to the horizontal rule throughout the site. So at the moment, it will default to black dotted line unless then we add in the styles for this here. And then what we can do then is if we had another block and another section, we would basically use the new block identifier and then the class then applied to it as well. So there's a little trade-off with this and a little bit more time to get this effect across. But these are subtle changes that can make our websites look bespoke throughout. If you're just starting out, I'd probably recommend using this just to experiment and have a play with it. But almost always do this on a free trial that you can set up and use it as your digital playground. So you can mess around with the style, see how it looks before worrying about anything else. And so Hopefully that's given you an idea of how we can create styles, adapt them to mobile and desktop, and then work on them in the individual areas and how we can adapt them depending on things like the background color as well. There's probably a more sophisticated way of doing it, but I kind of dip in and out of CSS at the moment. But as a proof of concept, this works. And go out, have your play. And if you've got some thoughts or ideas, leave a comment of how I could do this better. I've been working with CSS. In fact, I used to train front-end developers to use custom code and to write and to build websites that our design team would create in composites in Adobe Photoshop and even Adobe Fireworks going back. And they were flat designs with no interaction. And then our front-end team would convert those designs into an interactive website. So you could hover over sections, click buttons, but then we'd have our back-end development team who would work that into the database architecture, meaning that we could build a content management system and get it all working so our clients could update it all. That is how the old agency model used to work. Now things have become more streamlined. They use on platforms like Magento, which do a lot of the heavy lifting in the background development, but it still requires a degree of front-end development and custom code to make those look good. So, and to make them work. I'm just going to put a final comment on here. So So we know now that that will allow us to, we can put new styles in there for every dark background section where we need to use that dotted line effect, like this one here. Hope you're still with me. Let's save that. And so that's some of the basics with CSS. Let's have a look at some of the other areas where you can apply custom code. So let's go to our shop, for example. And we can go to advanced. And we've got the option to put page header code injection. And in here, we can put, again, more effects, more styles. If you wanted to put styles into this section, so it only applies to an individual section or page, we can put style in those triangle brackets and then apply same styles that we put into a style sheet into here. So this is where we can put our hashtag and then our unique identifier, and then we can put our code within that, and that will work within styles. But also this allows us to use more advanced code like JavaScript in our websites as well. I'm not going to be covering JavaScript too much in this tutorial. What I am going to do though in the last 10 minutes or so is see if we can get this universal plugin to work. I've not tried this before, so this could go horribly wrong. As I said, I'll be creating tutorials on this, so I need to have a practice. And we've got this installation option here. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to follow the instructions. So if you buy this plugin, which is, I think it's about $75, you'll be given this step-by-step instructions. I will be creating a video equivalent of this as well as showing how you can get more from these plugins as well. Right, so open the page where you want to install the filter. So I'm already on the store section. Then I'm going to go to advanced page code header injection. I believe that's what I did. Let's bring this one over a little bit. Yep, so we're already on that section already. Check. Copy and paste this code into the page header code injection into this section here. Okay, that seems straightforward enough. Bear in mind that this may not work if you're on the lowest tier of Squarespace because it's a premium feature to be able to put custom code injected into the site. After saving, reload the page and you'll see the get filter config. Let's try that. There we go. Okay, so far so good. What do we do next? Not all pages block types are compatible, so if it doesn't show up, it will only show up on the pages that are compatible. That makes complete sense, and it's a good way of differentiating the difference. So we're going to click the Get Filter config. This is because I'm doing this live, it's forcing me to read instructions, which I'm terrible at doing. I usually go in and have a play and have a go myself. And then when I naturally get it all wrong, I'll go back and read the instructions secondly. Copy code. Get the config. Oh, it's brought up this handy window. Is there a section that I'm missing behind this? No. Can't see the copy code option. So let's just see if I can manually copy from start to finish. I'm just scrolling all the way along. Make sure all that's selected and nothing else. Copy that by Command C. Okay, so that's the first deviation. It could be that it just hasn't loaded properly, or so we need to go now, I think, back to the page header code injection for our store. So we go to the settings icon in the top left-hand corner, advanced, header code injection. Do I replace the, no, it looks like I add it in as well as the code we already added in. So I don't want to change that unless it tells me. Okay. Okay, make sure you replaced all the filter code. No need to leave the code from step 2. Okay, so we've just pasted that in again, I think, because it was already available. So we can just get rid of this now and remove that. If you're good at following instructions, you'll probably be better at this than me. Okay, let's save that. Oh, very nice. We've got some default options here, and we've got the search option built in. So this is the default setting for it. There is an option then to go in and update more. Because I'm using a demo version of the shop, it may not be fully available. But we've got the size option drop downs here as well. But go back to that. Shop option and see what else it says. You'll see a filter on your page, which we do. So the get filter config button will probably still be there on pages once I'm logged in. In fact, I can't see it here myself, so maybe that's something it's just removed it because it's a store. Oh, shift option and F on a Mac. So let's try that. See if we can toggle that on. So that's shift option F. there we go. There's almost certainly more styling options to do it. Um, so this is where once you've got it installed, you can start having a play with it. But basically, we can now start adding in categories and tags for our products. These are default options here. So let's add in, hopefully we can do it even though it's just a demo product. Add more details and let's see what we can add in terms of tags. So we're going to add in our tag section, house plant. Okay, so we can add this one to potted plants and artificial plants and see now if the categories automatically appear or if there's anything else we need to do now to add them in going forward. Okay, I'm wondering, is this working? List collections, category tags. Yeah, so there is definitely an option to do this. I think I'm going to have to go away and have a good look at this, and I'm going to definitely create a standalone tutorial for this where I'm not doing this for the very first time. I'll just go through probably and just double check the code's in the right place. I can't seem to find that button basically for our store. So if I just go back and out of that and maybe just click on the store button here. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get this sorted now in the last couple of minutes of this tutorial. I promise you I'm going to have a good play around with it. But ultimately, just to quickly recap this session, we've got the option to add in custom code directly into areas of pages by going to advanced option and header code injection. This is where the more advanced plugins like this one are installed. And if we jump out of that, let's go for this one here. And the other thing as well, whilst I'm doing this, another reason to join either of our website builders or Pixelate's community is because if you purchase a plugin and you want some help to install it, we can have a look at your particular example, your plugin, as part of one of our live sessions, where we can help you on a basis that obviously others then can see how that plugin works as well. But it's a more proactive way of supporting you to get these plugins installed. Will, our technical lead who writes and creates our own plugins, will be on hand to help you as well in various sessions throughout the month as well. So yeah. So we can see now that just by jumping out and refreshing it, we can see that our categories are now working. So it is working, and obviously there's ways of styling this to make it look more appealing. So one thing I will be doing in the next sessions is looking at how we can get this type of effect here where we've got the icons or images aligned to each of these filter options. I'm really intrigued to see how we can get the most from them. But as I said, there's tutorials incoming for this. But remember to go to the cog icon, advanced to code injection. If we go to, I think it's under pages, then website tools, and then custom CSS if you want to go through to CSS that way. Alternatively, we can press on certain pages, or sometimes it doesn't always work. I need to refresh. But sometimes I can press / and it will bring the search pop-up, and you can find just about anything with this. So it's a really handy, really useful universal search for Squarespace. Click in CSS and we can see all the custom code we've added. If we start adding a lot of custom code, we can open it in a new window, give ourselves a bit more space to work with. And also, there is code injection for the entire site. So this allows you to put code injection for the header, footer, and the log page option. And also we can add things like additional advanced options on the order confirmation page or the order status page. So I'm not going to go into that today, but there's loads more we can do with that as well. We can see that there's an upgrade option in here. So this is available on the paid plan. And if I go to the upgrade option here, we can see the plans are available. The personal plan will not have the option for more advanced code, although it does allow you to edit CSS, but it won't allow you to add in that filter, or at least I don't think it will. Although there may be a workaround, and again, I'll be creating new tutorials as I get to grips with it myself. But the business plan will almost certainly guarantee you to use all custom code and plugins and third-party integrations. And then the difference between that and the commerce plans is how many products you can add in, and the transaction fee, which is the main one. So the business plan will charge an additional 3% on all your sales. And whilst the basic or commerce advanced will have 0%. So that will be whatever. So if Stripe is 2.5%, it will only be a 2.5% take transaction fee, as opposed to it being 5.5% if you're on the business plan. I'll probably do another video in the future covering the breakdown and how I work out by just putting a simple spreadsheet together, the differences between the business plan and when it's worth upgrading to a commerce basic plan. We do have an e-commerce course an e-commerce course in the pipeline for the coming months, which will be dedicated to using Squarespace e-commerce features and how you can build a successful online shop. And also we've got a course in the pipeline, which has been there for a while, but I really want to build our Squarespace SOS, SEO SOS course. Can't speak today. And our SEO SOS course is your perfect guide to start getting your website found on Google, and also identifying other areas where you can get traffic to your site, because search is not only for Google these days. You've got SEO for just about every social media platform going in, and I will be focusing quite a lot on how to get your videos viewed on YouTube as well, and how we can use that to drive more traffic to our website. But anyway, hope you found that helpful today. This might be jumping in a little bit too far for some people, but if you just wanted to have a look at some custom code, hopefully that's giving you an idea of something that you might want to jump into and do more of, or alternatively, that might scare you away as well. Either way, I hope I've helped. So I'm hoping to do another live session within the next couple of weeks. Next week, I'm away on holiday, so I may not be able to do a full live session anyway. So it might be a shorter one if I do one at all. But yeah, stick around. Watch out for some announcements now for our communities, which will be making some big announcements over the coming weeks. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Cheers.